From his liberal, unprovoked use of the N-word to waging an unnecessary war against the feds, here are some of the most controversial moments from the Joe Rogan Experience, starting with his many racist rants. I mean, musicians like India Arie decided that they'd rather pull their music from Spotify, the world's most popular audio streaming service, than share the platform with Joe Rogan. India actually released a pretty lengthy statement on Instagram where she blasted Spotify for ignoring all the problematic things that Rogan says on his podcast just because he racks in millions of dollars. Her post went viral, not just because a musician had quit Spotify because of Rogan, but because she added more weight to her words by compiling all the times Rogan said some pretty racist things. Sit down and get comfortable, because the video's pretty long. Rogan's always been a trending hashtag on Twitter because of one problematic statement or another. More often than not, it's a racist one. Like the time he said that he'd accidentally walked through a black neighborhood and wondered if he just landed in a scene from Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Yup, people were irritated. So, as all influencers who've tripped do, Rogan posted a half-hearted apology. I wouldn't call it an apology, actually, because that'd mean that he'd actually, apologized. Rogan just released a statement saying he misspoke, and that he really wanted to say that he felt like he'd been transported to Africa. Does Joe Rogan have a publicist? It might be time the multimillionaire invests in one. It'd be a long-term investment for sure. I wish I could tell you this was the only time Rogan made a racist statement. It's not. He told Jordan Peterson that African Americans weren't true blacks. With tensions rising in the United States and social justice movements taking their mantras to the streets, Joe Rogan just had to comment. He brought on an equally controversial figure, which is Peterson, onto his show and talked about what it meant to truly be black. It's as bad as you think it is because according to the podcaster, the only way you could legitimately identify with the black community was if you'd been born in Africa, or as Rogan so eloquently put it, the darkest place on the planet with little clothes. Yeah, Rogan's not really the most popular guy on Twitter these days, but according to India Arie and the many people who want Daniel Ek, the CEO of Spotify, to give Rogan the boot, Ek would never do that. Rogan's the most popular podcaster on the platform, arguably the world. They can't risk losing their cash cow, even if he makes one, two, or several problematic statements. So what then? Well, Ek announced that they'd pull some of the more controversial episodes from the channel and pledge millions of dollars for marginalized musicians. So the price of one man is worth many marginalized people? Has Rogan learned the error of his ways? Not really. Because apart from being racist, he's also anti-vax. Headlines read, "Is the Joe Rogan Experience actually deadly?" All throughout 2021. This was around the time the COVID-19 vaccine was being pulled out and there were global efforts in place to get every single person vaccinated. The one guy you won't see queuing up for a jab, however, would be Rogan. He and several of the people who religiously follow his podcast. So in April 2021, the famed podcaster declared his stance on being vaccinated, and surprise, he hates it. He started saying that it's terrifying how people are willing to jab their children. Now, Rogan isn't the first anti-vaxxer, and he definitely won't be the last, but he's probably the most powerful one. Millions of people listen to him, and hundreds of thousands of them actually believe everything he says, which was pretty worrying, I mean. Before India Arie, there was Neil Young. Hearing Rogan's anti-vax rant, he told Spotify, "You can have Rogan or you can have Young. You can't have both." Unsurprisingly, he pulled his music from the platform after Daniel Ek showed, once again, that he was Team Rogan all the way. Along with Young, an astounding 300 healthcare professionals and scientists penned an open letter to Spotify begging them to take Rogan off their platform because his views had started to get deadly. He's still there, making millions, so I guess we know how that one ended. So he's racist and an anti-vaxxer. That has to be it, right? Nope, he's transphobic too. Allegedly, because Rogan has repeatedly told his listeners that he's not transphobic. I'll let you decide here. So back when Fallon Fox was making waves through the female division of the MMA, Rogan decided that she had no place being there. The guy took to his microphone to tell the world that Fox might identify as a woman, but she was far from being one. He said that she's at best just trans. According to Rogan, if you've had male genitals at any point, you also have a male bone structure that comes with it. And as such, it'd be a straight-up disgrace to have someone like Fox competing against real women. His transphobic rant resurfaced in 2023 when he attacked NCAA Division I swimmer Leah Thomas, saying that there was no way she was a woman because she still had all of her male parts intact and would occasionally sleep with women. Again, just to clarify, Rogan said that he wasn't transphobic. and that everything he was raising an issue with were human rights issues. The thing is, many people tend to agree with Rogan based on nothing besides the fact that it's coming from the guy's mouth. This proved to be pretty dangerous in this case, because his listeners started attacking Fox and Thomas. Fox was forced into early retirement, admittedly, for more reasons than just Rogan's anti-trans rant, and the negative press that Thomas got forced the governing body to remove trans swimmers from their roster. Just goes to show the power that Joe Rogan has. This reminds me of the time he had his fans calling in to make false reports. So Joe Rogan believes that the left was responsible for the Oregon wildfires. And now I don't mean this as alluded to them being responsible. He straight up spread misinformation on his podcast, alleging that members of the left had started the fires. Portland is not on Rogan's destination list. He's constantly attacking the place, saying that it's riddled with leftists. Previously, he accused leftists of attacking police, rioting, looting, and being a menace. But he took things too far when he alleged that they were responsible for destroying 11,000 acres of land and several homes. For context, the police did arrest 2 people on suspicion of being involved, but released them soon after. Also, there was no evidence tying them to any leftist outfit. But that didn't stop Rogan from starting a wildfire of his own. He had his fans and followers send in tips to the police, alleging that so-and-so from the left was responsible for the damage. It got so bad, actually, that the FBI had to put out a notice asking people to stop. Does it end there? You know it doesn't. I haven't even gotten to his anti-Semitic comments yet. Okay, so back in 2022, Ilhan Omar had to issue a public apology after old tweets from 2019 resurfaced, and she was labeled as being an anti-Semite. So what had happened was that Omar claimed that the U.S.'s relationship with Israel was all about the Benjamins. Rogan took issue with the fact that Omar was made to apologize, and he expressed his views on the Joe Rogan experience to his millions of fans. He claimed that Omar had nothing to apologize for because her statements were factually consistent. According to Rogan, it would have been anti-Semitic had she said that Jewish people didn't like money. He gave an example too. He said that it was like saying Italian people liked pizza. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Rogan has single-handedly rid the world of anti-Semitism. The famed podcaster's comments drew controversy again. This time, critics weren't willing to back down until an official apology was issued. Rogan issued a very Rogan-like apology. That is, he blamed media outlets like Forbes for using his words out of context. He said that he made a pretty general statement that had nothing to do with caste or creed, and that everyone just needed a reason to hate on him, just like everyone needed a reason to hate on him for his comments about the Patriot Front, the white nationalist hate group that emerged in the wake of the Charlottesville attacks. This was back in 2017. The group eventually grew strong enough momentum to hold a march of their own in 2022. And, as expected, Rogan had something to say about it. He said that the potentially deadly and largely problematic white nationalist group did not exist. Yep, according to Rogan, there were signs that it was all propaganda from the left. What signs? According to Rogan, the members were all thin and fit. 2 key traits you'd only find in someone who was working with the feds, according to the guy. His comments grew traction like they always do, with many conspiracy theorists piggybacking on what he said. It got so bad, actually, that the real feds had to speed up and pull in some arrests before people started attacking them. So, from waging war with the feds to his liberal use of the N-word, these were some of the most controversial moments from the Joe Rogan experience.